Hello folks, and welcome back to Pillars of Eternity. As always, I am Falcon, your host. And last time, we traveled here into the... where am I at? Traveled here into Elm's Reach, and more specifically Twin Elms in general. And we have been venturing around. Now, we have a couple of miscellaneous side quests that we have found, and a few other things going on. But nothing super exciting yet. I wanted to come down here and check out this house because I missed checking on this house. I didn't actually realize that it was even actually there previously. So I want to come down here and check on that. And after we do this, we're gonna head across the bridge up there. Alright, tribesmen. So we could probably loot if we want to. And that just has some money in it. Alright. We're actually much closer to the end of the game than I actually thought we were. So if I really wanted to, it's conceivable that I could finish this month. I'm probably not going to do that though, because I do want to do some of the more some of the side quests with the different characters, and still want to do the endless dungeons thing. However, I'm probably going to do a good chunk of the endless dungeon stuff off camera, simply because it's a long thing, and I'm probably not going to mess with that too much. Now, what I'll probably do is I will keep, I'll keep my, as I'm playing through it, I'll keep the recording thing running. Or if we keep it running, keep it in the background anyway, and I can start recording at any point that anything important happens, and I'll just skip most of the random fighting and exploration and stuff. It's probably how I'm going to work that, because it'll be a long process to slog through all of that, and I don't really want to make 15, or however the hell many episodes it is, just of that. Slogging through all that. So I'll probably skip all that as far as on-camera stuff goes. But I'm going to try and knock out as much of the NPC, companion side quests on camera as possible. And then, of course, there's the actual main quest here. Like I said, we're relatively close to the end. We still have a ways to go, but we're relatively close to the end of the main quest of the game itself. Anyway, Sitha. Two identical women seem to fade into view as they move away from the great trees that camouflage them. The skin is tree bark, ridged and scaly, wreathed in a curling tangle of roots, buds, and blooms. Their hair hangs beneath the shade of serrated leaves like the drooping branches of the elms above, and the pupils of their eyes are encircled by hundreds or even thousands of concentric rings, as if to mark the accumulated wisdom of millennia.
Turn around, flesh creature. Outsiders are not permitted to approach the elms.
One of them extends a snarl of roots toward you that stakes and twists together to form something like an open hand, palm down.
Do you not feel it, sister? Something familiar. An ancient soul, like the other one. Another defiler, no doubt. Let us fell him and be troubled no more. It would pay the debt of his predecessor.
Heather stares at you unblinking, and as her frown deepens, her face creaks.
So it would seem, Rhiannon. But we must not hasten to judgment. I see a different motive here. Different questions in these eyes.
Right about that.
What of it, young trespasser? Is it as my sister says? Or are you here to stain this place with foul deeds?
I'd gladly burn this place down, but I have more pressing concerns. Alright, so I see a man who came through here. It sounds as though you've already met him.
There! By his own admission, Sheetha.
Really, sister? And you wonder why your leaves begin to fall out before midsummer.
Oh,
Clearly that man
harsh.
did not want to be followed. Whatever the relationship here, I suspect it is anything but cordial.
She opens her mouth to respond, but all that escapes her knotted lips and is an exasperated, rustling sigh. Sita turns back to face me.
The answer is yes, old one. We crossed paths with Theos not long ago, and we can tell you where he went. But I find it curious that anyone would seek him out. Suspicious, even. If we are to help you find him, we would know why.
He must face justice for his transgressions, which are many and varied. I like her better now.
Indeed. A kindred spirit, it seems. But that's what this is really about, isn't it? You are tied to him.
Yeah.
I see it now. You are awakened. Your soul is awake, and something once buried deep now wells to the surface. Past overwhelms present, closes in around you. Your time has nearly reached its end.
Well, that's concerning. Look, I just need to get to Thaos.
I am sorry to tell you this, but Theos cannot give you what you seek. Nor can any man. An awakening cannot be undone, any more than your past can be undone.
Well, that's great, but I still want to find him and kick his ass. What's she mean? I thought Mirwald said... I'm sorry. Not come down this road together to be refused passage by a pair of talking saplings. Dorrance. Audicio, there must be some way. To be chained to such a past, her face is pale, her eyes hollow. A bitter and grievous thing, Watcher. This has all been for nothing, I'm gonna lose my mind.
The soul is formless without a past to shape it. Did you truly expect to be able to wipe it away?
No, but I hoped it would be something I could forget. Seems right. I would live with it if I could.
That is the penance we all pay. But penance cannot be paid for a past only known in fragments and glimpses.
True.
However, as much as my sister speaks truly that there is no way back from an awakening, there may yet be a way forward. Would you agree, Sheetha?
I would. Were the way not so likely to end in death.
Maybe preferable to what lies in store for me. So what
The
is
man
it?
Theos, you must already know by now. You are linked by a common past. Something about it lingers within you, festering, unresolved. What it is I cannot see any more than you. And without that knowledge, your doom is certain. But were you to learn the source of this discord, perhaps it could be put to rest. Though it is equally possible it will trouble you as much now as it did then, and merely speed your condition to its end.
Well, it comes to me in pieces. How do I unlock the rest?
You might wait for it to come on its own, of course, but when it comes, it will replace your sanity's last breath. Such is the nature of your condition.
Yeah.
Or you could learn it from someone who already knows.
What else would he remember?
It is said the gods made his memory perfect, that he may never forget his charge. If he ever knew, he still does.
Not that he would tell you, of course.
Oh, yeah, probably not.
You have followed the right person for the wrong reason, it seems. We see it often beneath the elms. The soul dragging mind and body to unknown places for unfathomable reasons. You may have wandered into Theos' path many times, in many lifetimes, without an awakening to show you why.
The only thing that's certain is you did not find what you sought.
Said he knew where he went.
He has gone down beneath the tower to a place older than we, where the people of Engwith once walked. He makes his way to the buried city, Sun and Shadow.
May he stay down there and rot with the remains of his people.
So he is an Ingwathan.
He may yet. He won't be returning the way he came, that much is certain. He opened a secret path in the tower's base, and saw it destroyed behind him through some vile means.
So there's another way to get to him?
We know of one. On the burial isle, through the court of the penitents, Braeth Yaman. A shortcut, in fact.
Don't be cruel, sister. The way my sister speaks of is not for the faint of heart. A great pit at the center of a forgotten court, where faiths were judged in place of crimes. To most, it is simply a gateway to death. With the help of the gods, it can take you where you want to go.
You mean with the help of the gods?
The pit is said to have been a means of judgment by the gods. Those cast into it are meant to die. It is that way you must pass to reach Sun and Shadow.
So it's a giant pit that we jump into.
The court is old. We do not know much for certain, but it would seem only the gods themselves can grant passage.
So what is this court?
No more than a ruin now. It is older than we, a place for the trial of heretics. We were not here to witness it, but at one time there was a group that refused to acknowledge the gods. Neither the first nor the last, of course, but these were numerous and all put on trial for it. Those who did not repent were cast into the pit and imprisoned below.
Interesting. And he and apparently one of my former lives were inquisitors. No doubt the people responsible for rounding up these heretics and putting them on trial, so to speak.
The fall killed them, of course. The prison was not for people, but for their souls, and their sentences were eternal. It is said that many of the condemned repented and were permitted by the gods to ascend from the pit, so long as they pledged their service to one of them. But these are old legends.
How would I ever get the gods to help me? Oops.
Behind us is Ter Evron, said to pierce the shroud itself and a place of communion with all gods. If ever there was a time for prayer, you have found it.
So the only way to get through this pit is to pray for help. Who would I pray to? No other way. How do I pray? Who would I pray to? Any god you can, I should think.
I would pray first to those gods you like best. I hope for your sake the feeling is shared.
So the only way to get through this pit is to pray for help.
Not the only way. Just the only one that doesn't end with your body impaled on jagged rocks.
So no other way. So how do I
Ter
do this?
Evron is also called the Hall of Stars, and the stars show us the allegiances of the gods. When stars are in conjunction, we know the gods they represent are aligned as well. You should choose a place to pray where you'll be closest to those you want to hear you. If a god stands alone, you should pray to that god. If they band together, you should address them all. Choose your words wisely, for all gods expect proper homage, and none has patience for fools.
I have other questions.
What do you wish to know?
How do you know I was
The same
pursuing
way
him?
that you are no doubt able to peer into the ether and experience the souls of others. It is something we are born with, some more, some less. A gift common to many creatures of the wilds. You share certain similarities with the man you pursue. For your sake, I pray they are few and of no consequence.
Mention that people come to these elms without knowing why. Soul has a will of its own. Its needs and whims are seldom understood. They follow them all the same.
There is something about this place that reaches beyond our understanding, something like a beacon. The elms have a way of uniting souls that have been seeking one another, with or without their owner's awareness. Sometimes it is for love, sometimes for vengeance, sometimes for peace. Often it is for no reason we will ever know. In your case, let us hope it is for peace.
Or vengeance.
About
There
the
is
two of
little
you.
to be said about us, for we are bound here, caretakers and defenders of this place. Our journey has been over time, but not distance, measured in observations, but not experiences. We have seen the elms grow tall. We have seen cities built, burned, and built again. The only constant has been the tower, a silent companion through the ages. You can imagine why this recent destruction has stirred my sister so.
If you do nothing else, make that man pay for what he did here.
Happily.
We will tell you what we can.
So we've
Before
already
you
asked
go,
all
tell me
that.
this, old one. I'm curious. If you were to subdue your enemy, what would you do with him? What would give you peace?
Understand our history, so maybe put to rest. He must be destroyed or return to the wheel of life and death. Undo the harm he's caused. I would set him on a better path and would take his place in power for myself. I wish to undo the harm he's caused, because he's done a lot of damage, and I want to fix it.
You would need to have twice as many lifetimes as he to repair his savage work.
Perhaps. Perhaps there are strides.
All the same, think on this matter. Be assured in your course. In the end, it may mean all the difference, not just to his soul, but to yours. And be warned. Some questions have answers that can never be learned, and it is those that trouble the soul above all others. May you find an answer to yours.
Okay. So what I
Yes.
think I'm going to do, just so everybody knows, in the grand scheme of things, is I'm going to basically progress the story all the way up until the end. All the way up until we reach the point that we would go down into that pit and go fight Theos. I'm not going to do that part, though, but I'm basically going to advance to that point. And then after that is when I'm going to go stop, and I'm going to go do the other things that there is to do. I'm going to go do the companion quest as much as I can. I'm going to endeavor to do this. Okay. Shatter and Charged Stone blocks the passage into the sun and shadows. That was where he went. 10 Years of Dawn. It's about the different gods. Faces of Varath. The Hunt. Twice memoirs of whom that was and still is. Okay. Oh,
This place
what
is
have I
where
done?
my spirit reveals.
Oh, jeez. I don't know. Oh, luminescent Adroshard did the activated this once we used it. I don't know what these all go to off the top of my head. Let's screw it. Let's pick up all the books. Pick them all up. Pick them all up. Now we have to come into here, and we go to here. God of Cold. Varath oversees the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Omgrad oversees the cold, destructive act of death itself. Okay. Really show them the symbol of Rimgrad, the bone-white Auroch skull, found carved within the most ancient of Ingwathan ruins. Okay. Primal god, silent and inscrutable as death itself. He makes himself known with his passing, not by proclamation. There are numerous stories of God's terrifying passage through the lands of Eora. Beast of Winter to rescue the souls trapped in its fur. Bird dies in the process. Abaddon rebuilt himself from ruin. Forge. Sounds like Forge, so I'm almost certain that this guy is a Forge. And a cult. Oh, this is Wheel. Hail. Eyeless face. What about Life's Memoirs? Hylia. All of Magran. Queen of Birds, so it's probably like a bird looking thing. Galwain. Seeker God. Clever Hound. So it probably looks like Axe, so it probably is the one that looks like a wolf. Magran. Well, we've actually spoken to Whale, or rather had Whale speak to us before. So I'm thinking we've done a favor for Whale before, so that might work into our advantage. Or it may not. May do shit all for us. Many faces of Barath. Yeah, he's the life, death, and the cycle. Okay, I don't know if it has any sort of... I don't know if it means anything. Well, that was the one. Yeah, I'm thinking Whale. Whale is the... I think... Eyeless face. Visual face surrounded by a swarm of eyes. Face surrounded by a swarm of eyes. Possibly this one. Oh, I don't know what to do. Ah. Oh no, it's Rimgard. Rimgrand. That's not who we want. Oh, I think there's only a couple of them that we can actually talk to. Rimgrand. Piercing rain fills your ears as you near Whale's Shrine. Yeah, that's that one. There was no other response. You don't want to talk to us. That's Barath. Hylia. Galwain. Wodica. Well, of them, let's talk to Barath first. You kneel before the shrine and prepare to recite the ritual words. Life and death and life. Pretty sure that's the one that we're talking about. It was a rippling shift in the air around you as if some unfelt wind has changed, bringing unexpected warmth. You feel the peculiar weight of an unseen presence of an eyes upon you. You kneel and pray to Barath. Even while your eyes are closed, you see a road that seems to stretch on forever. The stars wheel overhead in a clockwork rotation of constellations, disappearing over the horizon to your left, only to rise on your right. Try to make out the details on either side of the road, but your eyes can't seem to focus. One moment, you think you see a meadow blanketed with mist, and another sheer canyon walls. For just an instant, you even see waves lapping at the edges of the road. For you to step into that shifting landscape, you feel certain you would only end up back on the road. You know this is a vision, but the packed dirt feels firm beneath your feet, and the night air cool on your face. You are walking. Your feet seem to carry you forward of their own accord. Something looms ahead of you. As you get closer, you see two stone figures that look strangely familiar. Two faces of Serrano, what we call Barath. She shudders slightly, her feathers ruffling as she peers the figures with apprehension. Remember the door to Cliabon Rilog and the two figures carved into the mountain next to it. One looks vaguely male and the other vaguely female. Only a thin layer of flesh covers their skeletal bodies, which twist to face the doorway between them. The doorway, however, is not what you saw in the ruins. It's a skull, gaping and jawless, and as you look on, its open mouth seems to grow. The arms of the two stone sculptures are swept toward the mouth, inviting you in. Enter the mouth. The road continues through the maw to another shifting landscape surrounded by stars. As you pass through, you see an identical doorway in the distance. A dwarven man stands near it, unmoving. You turn and look behind you, only to see the skull gate you just passed facing you. An elven woman waits on the road. Like the dwarf, she stands still. Let's go to the... I think the dwarf... Well, no, I don't know. Let's go to the dwarf. Continue down the road toward him. He looks up as you approach, but you can't tell if he's looking at you or through you. His face is smooth but flaccid, as if the flesh is detached from the muscles underneath. As you look on, his face begins to change. Wrinkles crack at the corners of his eyes. His mouth sinks, curving deep lines to his nose, the corners of his lips. His jowls sag, and the loose flesh hangs like dough. He raises his cupped hands. They're covered in blood. He lifts them to his face and smears himself from his newly creased forehead to the wattles of his neck. As he massages the dark, sticky fluid into his skin, the flesh wrinkles disappear. The hanging folds recede, and his flesh tightens as if re-adhering to his skull. He lifts his head, and this time you know he's looking at you. His renewed face looks like a mask, artificially smooth and still. Behind it, his black eyes are two hungry pits, yawning like the empty mouths of skulls. Come, make your sacrifice to the Ethic Knoll. His body blocks the path. He extends a bloody hand toward you. Take his hand. Grab his hand, but his skin gives too easily under your grip. As you try to pull away, you hear a noise like dried canvas tearing. Skin splits, following a long seam that begins at his arm and stretches the length of his body. Blood rushes forth in such quantities that you can't imagine that there was anything else in him. Sure enough, as the dwarf empties the blood, he collapses like a desiccated husk. The blood in the path gleams with 1,000 souls worth of essence. The essence evaporates, trailing shining filaments into the night sky. Only now that he is dead, you can continue onward. Blood pools around your feet, and you look up and see the elven woman waiting further down the road. You start toward her. There's something unnatural about the way she stands. She's too still. When you get closer, you see that her legs taper into a slender trunk, and in place of her feet are gnarled, twisting roots. She lifts her face to an invisible sun. Her long golden hair is the color of autumn leaves, and as you look more closely, you realize that her head is actually covered with tendrils and vines, sprouting brilliant yellow leaves. Each glimmers with the essence of an entire soul. She gives you a beautiful, beatific smile. As you look on, the leaves slowly fall from her head and settle at her roots. They melt into the path beneath her, and almost immediately new leaves sprout in the place of the old. She reaches toward you, still smiling, as roots spring from her fingertips. Her outstretched arms bar the path. Come, graft your soul to the golden grove. Take your hand. Her roots twine around your fingers, and as they do, they grow rigid and cold. Her outstretched arm petrifies, and as a rough stone bark overtakes her flesh, you can only look on in horror. You break away from her brittle grasp. Her feet are rooted in place, but she twists and writhes and writhes as if trying to flee her own dying limb. The petrification reaches her shoulder and spreads down her body, freezing it in a painful arc. It creeps up her neck, and she throws her face skyward like a drowning swimmer. The grayness covers her eyes, her face, freezing her gasp in stone. Now that she's still and lifeless, you can continue past her. Only the golden leaves in her hand remain untouched, and as you watch, they fall one by one to the path below. They shrivel as the shimmering essence fades from them. A voice echoes along the road, barely more than a whisper on the breeze. Return them to the wheel. You lift your gaze and see the skull gate ahead of you on the path. The candles of Tyr Eberron wink through the open mouth. And the lives of the two figures from Barath's vision. Hey. You say so, there, buddy. I don't even have the vaguest idea. From the vision had an eerily ageless face, and he seemed to renew himself with the blood of others. He said something about the Ethic Knoll. When I learn who or what this is, it will no doubt be nearby. A place called the Golden Grove. The Golden Grove, I know where that is. That's the, I know where that is. That is the, I think, anyway, that's the name of the inn here in the city. I think. Knoll, I don't know what the hell that is. Top of my head, anyway. No, what the other one is, I think. Let's see, Hylia. I need to know what the, what do we do with Hylia? Agran. Halloween. Hylia. Music of birds and beauty. Song. It's kind of the last little of us and yet. Okay. Now let's try this. Life and death. Every note of life song. I'm gonna guess that's the one that we want. Just in case it messes up stuff if I fail. Let's save. Alright, no, it's not that. I know it's not that. Pretty sure it's not that one. Could be that one. Pretty sure it's not that one. Pretty sure it's not that one. I know it's not that. I know it's not that, and I know it's not that. Note of life song. The words seemed to ring in the air, and her voice rendered melodic and lilting by some unseen art. You shut your eyes to pray as you wait in darkness. The world around you changes. You feel sunlight, bright and warm on your face. A light breeze carries music to your ears. As vivid as these sensations feel, you somehow know they are not real. You look around and find yourself standing in an open-air temple built on a mountain summit. It's filled with elves, Orlons, and assorted other kith. Raining the entire scene is a fringe of trees, their verdant branches filled with birds of all different colors, shapes, and sizes. Paradise for those who would taste their lives exploring the meaningless while corrupting the meaning of the real world. Oh, to set these trees ablaze, Watcher. Everyone is singularly absorbed in a particular pursuit. An Orlon sits with a canvas, a paintbrush in his hand, and jars of green, blue, and yellow pigments at his feet. An elf and an Amua standing to the side are locked in conversation, their expressions dancing with delight. Still others scribble stanzas of poetry or crude sketches on sheets of paper, losing themselves in the delicate minutiae of lines and syllables. Feel the breeze again, and two elves basking in the sunlight shiver. The largest group gathers in the middle of the temple. They sing a lush, chaotic harmony composed of several complementary melodies. Others drift toward the singers in ones and twos as if buffeted by a gust of wind or a phrase of the song. A ripple passes through the trees. You think it's the wind, but the chirping changes to screeching. Hundreds of birds take to the skies, all heading in one direction, away. Something must be coming. The devotees glance at the trees, just barely distracted from their activities, but the wind picks up, scattering the pages of poetry and art and ripping the songs from their lips. You look skyward and you follow their gaze. A dark shape blots out the sun. You can't tell what it is, but as it unfolds and expands, it seems to fill the sky. The wind roars over the summit. Seldom a good sign. Before you can flee, a shadow falls over the temple. It begins to stain in the corner and spreads, blotting out the flagstones. It reaches the nearest kith, a black-furred Orlon. The darkness swallows her, leaving only a puff of smoke in her place. The two elves that you saw earlier, a man and a woman, flee. You get a brief image of them huddled in the shadow of a mountain. They seem to see you too, and they reach out, calling silently after you. The others, however, seem frozen. As the shadow advances, they likewise vanish one by one. The driving gale scatters their ashes and the charred remains of their creations. Songs of joy turn to screams of agony. What purpose, what lesson could possibly lie behind such destruction? Look up again at the source of the shadow, but the eclipsed sun forms a blinding corona around the thing. You can't make out any details. You can, however, feel heat. Restore my temple. You look down and find yourself standing next to Hyla's shrine in Tir Ivron. Pulse still races and your skin is damp with sweat from your strange encounter. Sounds like a dragon to me. Kill a dragon? Alright, we can do that. Raid Galawain. Despite hearing so much about Galawain throughout this game, I don't... What was Galawain? Yeah, see, this is the reforging. Oh, no. Abaddon is reforging. This guy is... Stillness. Galawain. Of course not. One must outwit, outmaneuver, and overpower. As a question is weakness and idle indecision. Seek answers and understand. Become one with Galawain. Survival begins with strength from within. That's the thing. Galawain. Begins with strength from within. The air around you stirs and a gust of wind blows across the back of your neck. You catch the faintest smell of wet earth. As you kneel in front of the shrine, you feel yourself pushed forward. You catch yourself on your hands and knees, feeling sharp, damp ground beneath you. Looking around, you find yourself crouched in a clearing in the middle of the woods. The smell of dirt hangs heavy in the air. Behind you is a darkened room filled with candlelit shrines. Ahead, you hear the howl of some kind of hound. You feel certain that this is a vision, but the hairs on the nape of your neck still rise. Howl back! The beast bays in response, its voice high and clear. The thick undergrowth shivers with movement. Your heavy paws pound the wet grass. You're not certain if the creature is hunting or leading you, but you instinctively give chase. As you tumble through dew-speckled bushes and clawing brambles, each stride feels longer than the last. You draw lungfuls of crisp, clear air and feel your energy renewed. The rhythm of your stride and the thumping of the beast's paws drive the blood thrumming into your ears. Speed ahead, following the hound's cries, when a split-finger pine crashes to the ground in front of you. A massive bear lunges into the gap and roars. Catches sight of you, you turn and face in the opposite direction, leaping over the fallen tree trunk. Pine cones crunch underfoot, the bear lumbers after you. Its hot breath washes over the back of your neck, filling your nose with the rank odor of slaughter. So you're clearing just past the thicket of broad leaves and sprint towards it. As you break through the foliage, you see a massive lioness curled up in the clearing in front of you. The last burst of energy, divert your momentum, and hurl yourself into the bushes. Any second now, you expect to feel the bear fall upon you, but a furious roar on the other side of the clearing draws your attention. The bear is stopped at the tree line. It swipes the empty air with claws large enough to rend armor, but it does not advance. The lioness, for her part, twists her body into a tight coil. Growls, her ears pressed against her head, but she makes no move to attack the intruder. What are you waiting for? When you're a quarry, take any opportunity to escape that you can. Back deeper into the foliage, keeping your eyes on the two mighty predators. You crawl backwards, the heel of your hand brushes something furred. A warm sigh grazes your cheek. You freeze in place, turning slowly your head to see what's behind you. Two amber eyes shine in the darkness. I'm dying here, at least it was with my friends. Endurance. The eyes meet your gaze, briefly, then turn to the standoff in the clearing. The hound behind you yawns, fangs flashing. When you turn back, the lion and the bear have disappeared, and the place is a strange wolf's maw, gaping wide enough to swallow you whole. Beyond it is the outline of a temple, towering but indistinct. Blood must feed the maw watcher. See that the true champion reigns. And back. Travel to the stone maw. The vision. Alright, Rimgrund. This is the all life ends in stillness. Feel a sudden gust of cold air as if the shrine were bursting into wintry life. The frigid wind cuts through you like a sharpened blade, and darkness encroaches upon the edges of your sight. Kneel and close your eyes. As you pray, the blackness fades to white, and a howling wind fills your ears. The vision that slowly resolves itself is of a broad, frozen plain. You see a procession of elves in the distance, periodically fading into and emerging from the whiteness. They trudge over snowbanks, their heads down against the driving winds. You know this place. This is the White that wends. As they trek past you, one man bundled in furs turns his head. You headed for Noonfrost and the Frost-hewn beach too? Before you can answer, he's lumbered ahead. You follow the caravan. In a couple minutes, you come to a wall of ice. It disappears into the pale emptiness overhead and stretches as far as you can see in either direction. The elves stomp in front of a mirror-smooth section that's framed like a temple door. It's somehow thinner than the rest of the wall. You can't see what's on the other side, but a debilitating cold emanates from within. The elves pull pickaxes and shovels from their sealskin packs and begin hacking at the smooth ice, their implements flying through the air in swift, shining arcs. Though they throw their bodies into their labors, not one of them so much as scratches the polished ice. Yet with each blow, something bellows in the distance. Whatever that is, it's huge and angry. And it's coming our way. He calls out to the elves, "Hey, might want to hold off on that," but the howling wind seems to swallow up his voice. Legina's head whips around to see where the bellowing is coming from. "Forget about the elves, we need to be ready to move." Turns again to face you, flexing her hands in the cold air. "Or fight." The elves back away, seemingly oblivious to the furious lowing and to the tremors under their feet. Snow has risen to your knees, your legs feel frozen in the drifts. Just wait. Watch as the elves continue to work at the ice. They pay no heed to the rumbling roar of the numbing wind. Their movements, however, gradually slow. They labor at the ice with the arduously sluggish movements until they finally freeze in place, some mid-swing and others preparing for the next blow. Touch the elf nearest to you and he crumbles into a mound of snow. A final gale blows past, scattering the remains of the elves in a chaotic flurry. You notice a single spiderweb crack in the smooth barrier. It's the only thing that mars the perfect surface of the ice. Whatever's on the other side of the strange doorway, you feel it tugging at you. Only when you look back and see the parallel gashes trailing behind your legs in the snow do you realize how strong its pull is.
My end comes to all things in time. Seal the frost-hewn breach and instruct the pilgrims in the patience of Remergond.
Plug the hole with a handful of snow. You fill your hand with snow and shove it into the crack. It hardens instantly, and a hoary rime grows over the smooth surface of the frozen doorway, fusing it with the rest of the wall. You take your hand away, a perfect crystal of ice remains in your palm. As you examine it, the vision around you fades, but the unmelting shard of ice remains in your hand. Glowing ice shard is now in my stash. Okay, so we have Into the White. Is it Noonfrost and Twin Elms? Behind the Vision. Travel to the Stone Maw. That is. I actually know what this is. Mountains above Twin Elms. Something sinister haunts Hylia's temple. It's the dragon. I don't know. Well, I know what the Golden Grove is. I don't know what the hell Ethic Knoll is, though. Sounds vaguely familiar, but... Okay.
Oh?
I think we're as done here as we're gonna get. Because the other two that we haven't done already are not, don't respond. Whale has no desire to speak to us, and the other one is Wodica, and Wodica's gone. Not present. Whatever. Okay.
What do you wish to know? Until we meet.
You apparently have nothing to tell me. Alright, this episode has already run long, but let's, before I end it here, let's go ahead and check out this place real quick. Supplicant. This is that one, the one place that the dude wants us to take the kid to. I may not even do that quest, because I really don't want to kill the kid, but unfortunately I can't poison the dude, because I do not have the stats to actually succeed in doing it. Dwarf. Dwarven man stands motionless near the roaring fire that lights the cavern. Your sacrifice feeds the land, supplicants. Come forth. A gust of smoke curls around him, licking the charred flesh that bulges on his forearms. It's on the flex. Estrabor. Kin doesn't come here to share with the tribes. What do you want? What is this place? Blood Sands. As I said, Estrabor rarely visit our halls. The Glenfrothans call this place Blood Sands. We call it home. The Ethic Knoll have tended the land from within this cave since before the arrival of the tribes to Twin Elms. Be warned, Estrabor. We bleed life to nurture it. Our sacrifices may strike you as savage, but the health of these lands depends on them, and it is unseemly for guests to insult their hosts. What about the sacrifices? Everything must die to return anew, Estrabor. Through the sacrificial rites, we offer supplicants the honor of giving their most precious gift back to their brethren, back to the land. Blood gives us strength. Even the Glenfrothans have come to depend on the blood paint. They brim with power before battle, all thanks to the sacrifices of their kin. Tell me about yourselves. Our order has thrived for generations. Before we came to Twin Elms, our rights fed the lands of the eastern mountains. Now we share blood for Ir Glenfroth. Everything that must end, our sacrifices brings a new beginning. We sustain what's to come. Remember, Estrabor, you're guests of these halls. Respect our ways, and we will tolerate your presence. Okay, so one of you, Lan. One of you is sought by the god of life and death for staying too long in the world of living. Naka, petitioner before you, swaddled in loose-fitting robes. Her hair is greasy and matted. His swollen features of pregnancy and several missing teeth. Glorious day to you. I am Naka, midwife and lore keeper. Feeling well. Flawless! Apologies, I should be left to my meditation. The rite of strength is invigorating, almost overwhelming to the senses. I don't have time for this. Okay, I don't entirely understand all that, but sure. A lot of dwarves here, so this is not an easy solution to... Whatever.
It's done.
Shit. Oh, it's bloody useless.
Slowly now.
Bunch of chanters. Bunch of money. Alright, so I'm assuming we're looking for a named guy, and we're looking for somebody who's using their rights to keep himself alive longer than he should be. To avoid death. To a degree and a level that is not normally allowed. Not detected. It's armed. Good. Boots of speed and some other stuff.
These wounds run deep.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Can't tell. Alright, whatever.
Oh?
Not super horribly important. Alright, so far... the Archwood. Oh, what just happened?
As your blood flows, so shall your essence. Your life's energy shall feed the soil, and your soul's energy shall enrich the community. This is by your own choosing, supplicant?
Yes, the elf's voice is high but even. Dwarf grips a hatchet with both hands and raises it over his head. He throws his shoulder forward and swings the weapon to the elf's chest, connecting with a meaty thump. Blood gushes around the blade and the sacrifice's screams rend the air. Despite his earlier agreement, the elf thrashes atop the stone table, his torso arcing while his arms and legs remain tied in place. Meanwhile, the dwarf spreads his arms wide and allows blood to spatter his robes. When the elf is finally silent and still, the dwarf pulls his hatchet from the body and wipes it on his hem. Okay. That was kind of brutal. I have a feeling you are the guy that we are seeking. But for the
Sharp
time
eyes
being, at
and
least.
keen ears.
Your thoughts must flow deeply indeed.
What?
For the
Oh,
time being, at least. You are going to remain... Andrara. Okay.
yes.
We'll come back to you. I'm gonna look around first before we return to that guy, because I want to make sure that I found the right person before I go off and get too overly aggressive on pursuing a certain individual. Although I'm almost 100% certain that that is the guy that we're looking for, because he's the only, other than that first dude, he's the only dwarf who has a name that we have found, and I'm sure the guy will have a name, whoever
Sharp
we're looking
eyes
for.
and keen ears.
So it would make minimal sense otherwise. And once we finish here, one way or the other, will be the end of the episode. You're another guy with no name. Straight wandered off, so... Keep a red
Margaret's
Rita.
fire
Oh,
casts
you're another
light
person who
in
might be.
dark places.
The dwarf blinks at you, not quite looking at you. His eyes are pale, clouded with cataracts. Wherever the Nestor sets foot in this cavern, what brings you here, I wonder. What do you do here? Sell and maintain certain goods for the preservation of our order and perform some of our ritual sacrifices. In war. How do these sacrifices work? It's too complex to explain in detail and involves clotting the supplicant's essence, binding it to their life's blood, and drawing it into a container or vessel. The blood sands. It's the raw, bloody heart of Irglan Foth. Where some come to give their essence back to their people. Legacy of the builders of the tribe is not merely Audra and stone, but a sense of community. When they sacrifice what is most precious, even their own lives, preserve it. And for sale. Well, I guess I kinda knew this, but I've learned that we are reaching the end of the game, as I said. And in addition to reaching the end of the game, there is a bunch of flasks of war paint. I just picked up a crap ton of those. Alright, let's just buy these for now. Anyway, as I was about to say, we have reached a point. Okay, what was this that we picked up? A wound. So this is only good for a monk. Not have a monk, so those are not useful to us. +3 movement speed. Flank bonus. 30. Spell. Also 30. Spells command. Not bad, but not necessarily the greatest either. See, I need to gain a bunch of levels, and I think most of the level gaining is going to come when we move into I'm just going to stick these in the inventory for now. That and the trap there. I'm gonna mess with all this stuff right now. It's funny. Okay, so I'm pretty certain that that dude, the Archdruid guy, or whatever the hell his name was, is the dude we're looking for. In fact, I'm not only certain, I'm 100% certain, because there's really no other option. Really no other actual options here. Alright, so let's save. Talk to him. Hail, Estrabor. Smooth, lacking youthful elasticity. As if the lines and wrinkles have been formed and erased many times over. Hail, Estrabor.
No one comes to Blood Sands without a purpose. What is yours?
Something more about Ethic Knoll. We are the Druidic Order that has been in Twin Elms since Ingwathan times. The founders came from the White March, seeking a place where we might practice our beliefs in peace, as it were. Unlike most of our Glenfathan brethren, we seek answers in the world around us rather than the teachings of the gods. We believe that all life has power and that this power can be siphoned and conducted. We are not, as some suggest, madmen and murderers. All of our rituals are conducted with willing participants and thorough methods that have been tested and refined over centuries. It allows us to create the war paint for which we are respected, if not loved. Are you different from the Ovates of the Golden Grove? Golden Grove, I remember when Arona came up with that name. It used to be as green as the rest of the forest, you know. More similar than they like to admit. We both believe in achieving power without the double-edged aid of the gods, but their fantasy is pure creation. Something from nothing. They blind themselves to the fact that all life, from the mightiest dragon to the slimmest blade of grass, requires death, and the greatest ends require the greatest sacrifice. It is just the way the world works, to a degree. We're simply observers. What the hell is war paint? Special engine blending raw essence to the wearer. It grants incredible advantages in combat and has made us indispensable to the tribes. What do they say about our practices? Almost all of them have made use of our war paint at some time or another. Fascinating indeed how the most strident objections can be overcome by circumstances. I want to buy war paint. I'm the merchant dwarf. Talk to Keeper Woodra. She's around here somewhere. What about your sacrifices? We really believe that in giving up something of value, the energy from that sacrifice can be diverted elsewhere. The rest know for practices of Kith sacrifice. It's the most potent form of sacrifice because it releases the most energy. It's still the essence of an entire soul and the raw power that can strengthen the body, fortify the soul, and extend life. Who are you?
I am the Archdruid of the Ethik Null. For centuries it has been my duty to guide our rituals and guard our knowledge. It is work that requires a certain resilience, but it is not without its benefits.
Well, your benefit's about to end. Bareth believes it's time you paid your dues. And he can descend from his mighty pantheon and tell me himself. Actually, that's why
Since when do the gods send mortals to collect? You don't exactly look like the Pallid Knight. This is the trouble with deities. They meddle in a world that they don't even inhabit. I hope they promised you something better for your next life.
You know what? I'm not actually too terribly concerned with murdering all of you. Really not, actually. Although... And we need to reload. Actually. Because if we do this, I think it's gonna mess up the, that other quest, if I want to do it at all. With a kid. I kinda don't, but at the same time... I don't entirely know that there's a lot of options. This should be a fairly easy one, though. We just have to slaughter our way through all these guys, basically. Which I don't think would be terribly difficult, because I somehow don't think these guys are exactly the epitome of badassitude. As they would say in Borderlands. So, I don't anticipate too hell of a lot of difficulty for these guys. Anyway, that said, we have reached the end of the episode. So, thank you for watching, folks. This has been Pillars of Eternity. I have been Falcon, your host. I will probably end up doing a episode where I splice together a bunch of things, and one of those things will be killing that dude and his additional soldiers, and then we'll see how far we'll see how far we have to go from there as far as killing people in here. But anyway, I will see you all next time. Take it easy, have a good day, and thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy my content, and I will see you later. Bye bye.